Hello. Hi. Welcome back to The Juggle is Real, or welcome if this is your first time. And what an episode to choose. If this is your first time listening, let me say, because today we are diving into a topic that so many of us are struggling with, and that's self care. No, I'm not talking about the cute version of self care that looks like the bubble baths and the green smoothies, but the real raw version, the messy, the complicated, the often guilt-ridden version. And why is it that we know self-care is important? We know that caring for ourselves is an important thing, and yet we still struggle to do it. And why do we hit that wall of resistance even when we want to take care of ourselves? So, in this episode, we are going to get into why self care can feel so hard. It's not just a timing issue. We're going to talk about the self care paradox, why the times we need it most are often when we resist it the hardest, how stress and overwhelm and our self worth can sabotage our efforts when it comes to self care. And I want to share some of the real strategies to make self care doable, even when you have literally zero motivation, and why toxic self care advice is everywhere, how you can find what actually works for you. And of course, I'm going to share some of those much needed reminders that self care is not selfish, it's not indulgent, it's not another thing to check off of your never ending to do list. So if you've ever felt like you are failing at self care, spoiler, you are not. This episode is for you. So let's tackle some of those self-care struggles so we can figure out how to actually make it work in our busy and messy, beautiful lives. So grab a tea or a coffee or whatever lukewarm beverage you're currently neglecting, and let's dive right in. Hey, I'm Andryanna, and this is the Juggle is Real podcast. As I share my ongoing journey from experiencing burnout to leading a more mindful and intentional life with better balance, I hope you feel seen, that you realize your worth, lighten your load, and prioritize your own needs. As we hear from leading experts and well-known faces in the wellness, entrepreneurship, education, and motherhood space, I hope you gain insights, proven practices, and learn actionable tools to help you enjoy the juggle of work, family, and everything in between with a little less stress and a lot more ease, joy, and fun. Most of all, I hope you find what you need to simplify, streamline, and supercharge your own journey of better balance and self-love. Are you with me? Let's get started. This episode of The Juggle is Real is supported by a fresh appliance care. Spring is almost here. I know you can't see me, but it is sunny out, the skies are blue, and it's got me thinking about spring cleaning. But let's be real, when you are juggling work and kids and life and all of those things, deep cleaning can feel overwhelming, right? And that's why I love the 2-hour Clean Start Challenge with a fresh appliance care. It is the easiest way to refresh your home without adding extra stress to your plate. Does that sound good? I know it does. So here's how it works. You drop in a fresh washing machine cleaning tablet in your washing machine. Then you pop in a fresh dishwasher cleaning tablet in your dishwasher. Fun fact, you can actually use the fresh dishwasher tablet with a loaded dishwasher too. Awesome. Then you're going to run either a normal or a clean cycle, and boom, you've just deep cleaned 2 appliances with little to no effort. And while a fresh does this work, you can then challenge yourself to tackle whatever else is on your list in that 2-hour cycle. So whether it's organizing the drawers, doing a declutter, wiping down those nooks and crannies that need a little refresh, or those things that you've been neglecting. A Fresh brand has the #1 selling washing machine and dishwasher cleaning tablet in Canada. It's designed to remove the dirt, limescale, and odor-causing residue that builds up with daily loads, so your washing machine and dishwasher perform better last longer, and make your home a little cleaner. You can use them once a month for an optimal clean with ease. So try the 2-hour Clean Start Challenge today and give your home the deep clean it deserves. Visit afresh.ca to learn more. That's AFFRESH.ca. Now let's get back to the episode. All right. So I was rhyming off a lot of these questions that we ask ourselves that I often get asked because I'm talking about self-care a lot. The biggest one really is, why do we struggle with self-care? And oftentimes we're thinking, I just don't have the time. But let's be real. If time was the only issue, I think we would make time. There is so much more to it. Self-care, it can often take a backseat for a number of reasons, right? We don't feel like we deserve it. We're waiting for things to slow down. Another spoiler alert, they never do. We see self-care as a luxury rather than a necessity. And studies show that women, especially moms, often experience self-care guilt, feeling that they should be doing something, quote, more productive during that time. Okay, this is from a 2019 study. And I understand because I feel this way for sure. So let's break this down a bit. Sometimes we don't take care of ourselves because deep down, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, we don't believe we are worthy of that care. Like, let's sit with that for a minute, okay? We don't believe that we are worthy of caring for ourselves. And research does back this up. Psychologist Kristen Neff, she is a leading expert on self-compassion. She says that people who struggle with self-care often have an inner voice that tells them that they don't deserve it. And that was from 2011. But the inner critic is loud. Even though it's totally telling you lies, it's not telling you the truth. And another thing is that social conditioning plays a huge role, especially for women, especially for moms. We are taught to take care of everyone else first, and we are not on our own lists. But you know that saying, like, I don't have to say it to you, but you can't pour from an empty cup. And I would like to add that you also can't pour from a cracked, leaking, held together by duct tape cup. And confirm, I have been there. And if this is you, just know that you are not lazy. You are not unmotivated. You are not failing. You are human, my friend. And so another question that comes up a lot is like, why do I fail when it comes to taking care of myself? And I'm not saying like, you don't keep yourself composed and you're not brushing your teeth. I'm talking about this self-care at a deep level of actually giving yourself what you need and making sure that your wants are covered, right? So let's reframe this question. It's not, why do I fail to take care of myself? It's, you're not failing at self-care, but maybe that type of self-care you've been trying just isn't working for you. And I get it, because the self-care industry will have you believe that a 10-step skincare routine and a $12 green juice are the keys to true happiness and fulfillment. But self-care is not about the things. It is about what actually restores and supports you. And I get it, because I speak to self-care so much, and I'm often sharing about all sorts of products and things and ways and tools that can support you. But this is not a one size fits all approach. So you could think of it like this. And I'm often quoted as saying, self-care is not just all bubble baths, right? But some people do refuel by taking that beautiful, glorious solo bath. But then others would rather eat their own foot or something than sit in a tub. And I died. I'm laughing because it's making me think of Jason Bateman referring to bathing as the concept of sitting in a pot of your own juice, being something that is reserved for broccoli, lobsters, and for humans that needed to clean before plumbing was invented. That's from his podcast, Smartless, which I love. It's hilarious. But truly, the key to finding self-care practices that work is to look at what actually fits your personality. your lifestyle and your energy levels, not what some influencer or content creator or even a friend says is the way. And I remember interviewing Julie Cole, who is the co-founder of Mabel's Labels, and this was a few years ago for The Juggle is Real. And she told me this story about everyone telling her. She has 6 kids, my friend. So, and she also founded this company literally from the basement up. They made all the labels in a basement, and the story, you can listen to that episode or look it up. But she talks about how people would often go to her and be like, Julie, you're so busy. Julie, you've got all these kids. Julie, you're dealing with so much, and you're a leader and you're a boss and blah, blah, blah. You need to practice self-care. You need to do this. You need to go for a massage. And so she's like, fine, I guess I need to go for a massage. I need this self-care massage. And the entire time she laid on that massage bed, she was just thinking about how she wanted to be doing this, that, or the other thing that really did fuel her, and things that are like, speaking at events and being on other people's podcasts, and actually, being with her co-founders who are also her sisters-in-law. And those were the things that were fueling her, not the massage. So when you were talking about why am I failing at the self-care thing, maybe you're just not doing the things that are actually fitting your personality, your lifestyle, what you truly need. And this brings me to the self-care paradox, okay? And I don't know if you've heard of this or not, but the self-care paradox is that super annoying reality, and it's like truly this like, I don't know, double-edged sword, because often the times that we truly need self-care the most are also the times that we feel the least motivated to do it. So the times we need self-care the most, when we are super stressed, when we're really exhausted, when we're just at the brink, when we're overwhelmed, those are the times when we are resistant to caring for ourselves the most. Psychologist Dr. Julie Smith explains it really well. She says, when you're exhausted, overwhelmed, or struggling, self-care feels like an impossible task. But doing something, even tiny steps, creates momentum. And I love that quote. Another quote is that self-care is not a reward. It's part of the process, right? It's not like, if I do everything on my to-do list and I clean the house and I get all my work done and blah, 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 then I can reward myself by doing this, that, or the other thing. It is the necessary part that we need to include in our day-to-day process. So if you are struggling to get started, if you're feeling like you're in this paradox of self-care, I want you to start tiny. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but teeny tiny, a sip of water, open the window a crack. We're getting into the spring season. If it's a beautiful day, get a little bit of sunshine on your face, put on a song that makes you happy. The small actions lead to the bigger shifts. And self-care isn't just about adding things. It's also about removing things. You know that discard is my favorite pillar of well-being as part of the Juggle is Real Authentic Self-Care Planner. Removing what drains us is such an important step. But that leads me into toxic self-care. What is toxic self-care? I think as we are talking about, why am I failing at self-care? Why is it such a struggle? Learning about this paradox, when it comes to toxic self-care, I think we are surrounded by all sorts of things in social media that's going to make you believe that the self-care is all about the face masks or the matcha latte. But real self-care is about finding what works. It is saying no. It is about making choices that are often challenging, but is best for you in the long run. Setting a boundary, doing the difficult, unglamorous things like getting a coach or going to therapy, going to see a doctor and getting medication that you desperately need, logging off social media when it is just making you feel like crap. If your self-care routine feels like just another obligation, it is time to rethink it. It might be toxic. And so if we find ourselves in this paradox, or maybe we're looking at self-care as a cliche, how the heck do we practice self-care when we have zero motivation, when we find ourselves in this fight, flight, or freeze mode, when we don't know how to move forward? Um, and when we have zero motivation, I would just like to say, motivation in general, whether it's caring for yourself or maybe you have, goals for moving your body or different things, motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes faster than, I don't know, than my patience when my kids are leaving hockey gear all over the house. Like it's not something that you can rely on. And there is a great book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy called Willpower Doesn't Work. So instead of waiting for motivation, we need to have something in place. So it's not like if I have time or if I get all these things done, then I will practice self-care. We need systems in place. We need to build that foundation to create habits or to create a foundation, a structure that works for us. Now, I think we've all heard of the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. In the book, he says, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And so what does this mean? If self-care isn't built into your day, it's probably not happening, my friend. So how do you motivate yourself to take care of yourself? Well, without the motivation, we're talking about starting small. And when I say small, I mean tiny, I mean absurdly small. Mel Robbins, she suggests the 5-second rule. The moment that you think about doing something good for yourself, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just do it. Just do it before your brain talks you out of it. And even if you only have 5 minutes, just do something for 5 minutes, right? Another thing you can do is you can pair that self-care with something that you're already doing, right? We've heard of habit stacking. So for example, if you feel tight all the time, if there's a lot of tension in your neck, your shoulders, your traps, I'm speaking for myself here. Why don't you incorporate a small stretch while you're brushing your teeth, or add it to that 30-second block right before you're going to floss? Listen to an audiobook while you're doing the dishes. I mean, best case scenario, you're going to get someone else to do the dishes and you're going to listen to the audiobook while you go take a quick walk around the block or something. But when we're talking about the practicality of it, make self-care easy, like stupidly easy. Lay out your clothes the night before. So when you wake up, you get into that yoga attire, workout attire, and you keep the water bottle next to your bed, or you put a sticky note in your bathroom reminding you with that phrase or that quote that speaks to you so that you are feeling worthy of whatever care it is that you desire, or you deserve to use the luxurious cream or the beautiful scented body wash in the shower. Self-care does not have to be this grandiose event. And it for sure can be a weekend getaway in a spa and all of those things if that's going to support you. But here are some tiny but effective ways to start. And it's like adding a coin into your piggy bank. You're not going off to college by putting 25 cents into a piggy bank, but the more you are pouring into that self-care piggy bank, the more you are filling it up, and the return on the investment, just think of it like the interest rate on your self-care bank is like ridiculous. Like you would be so silly not to invest in yourself because the returns on the investment are exponential. And I am not a financial guru, but as a self-care advocate, I am telling you, take that high percentage of interest and invest those small and simple things. One deep breath or count it down. Drink water as soon as you wake up before your coffee. Swap one negative thought for a neutral one. When you get that self-sabotaging thought, how can you neutralize it? We don't have to go straight to positivity. How can you just neutralize a thought by thinking, is it true that I'm a bad mom because I forgot the school spirit day? Or Are my kids healthy? Are my kids safe? Are my kids happy? And what's one good thing we can think about? Can you do one thing for yourself today that tomorrow or your future self's going to thank you for? Reminder, reminder, reminder. Self-care, it is not a luxury. It is not a one day, someday type of thing. It is how you keep yourself functioning as a human person. This is a necessity. So how do we create a self-care routine that actually works for you? We've been talking about this, but your self-care should fit your life, not some influencer's morning routine. I know I talk about how I like to wake up early and I have this routine and these rituals that have become really, really beautiful for me. But if it doesn't work for you, like it's not the only way, right? Think of your self-care like a buffet. You're going, you see all of these items. Some of them look good, some of them look gross. You might want to do a lot. You might want to start small, but not everything on the buffet is for you. Not every single thing placed there is meant to go on your plate. And that is the point. It is totally okay. So start by asking yourself the question, like, what fills my cup? What mentally, physically, and emotionally is going to be best for me? So you can start by asking yourself a couple of things. When you could think back, the near future, or, when you actually were feeling good, ask yourself, what actually makes me feel better? What were those things that actually were filling my cup, feeling good? What were the things that were draining me? And how can I make self-care easy and accessible right now? I'm not talking about in a month when things slow down or after this happens or this. How can I make self-care easy and accessible today? And then you can create this, menu of self-care options. I know we're talking buffets and menus. I might be hungry. I don't know, but you can create sort of these options for yourself that work that you can come back to. So what are the self-care options that are going to work for different days or different moods? Maybe that, on Tuesdays, you've got a lot on your plate and you have to bring your kids to practice and there's, not a lot of time. So that's when you're going to pick like a lunch break pause and you're going to take 15 minutes to do a stretch or a walk, or you're going to wake up a little bit earlier, go to bed a little bit earlier on the days that like the mid part of your day is going to be super crammed. If you're feeling stressed, maybe it's you can just have that in the back of your mind that the 10 deep breaths or 5-minute walk, that's going to be what's going to fulfill you. If you're feeling sluggish, maybe it's a short dance break or doing like a cold splash of water or a spritz on your face. When you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe it's doing like a quick brain dump or a journal, or even just talking into the voice memo on your phone and just getting it out there. So when you have these questions answered of like what actually makes you feel better, what's not working, and how can you make it easy, you can have these things that are easily accessible. So when you do have that pocket of time, when you do find yourself in a place where you're not feeling your best, you can very easily and seamlessly move into something that feels better. So this self-care is not this act of indulgence. It truly is an act of self-respect. And so let's do a quick recap before we close out this episode. Our self-care is not just about time. It is about feeling worthy. And that self-care paradox is real. The times that we are resisting it most are actually the times when we need it most. And now we know that toxic self-care is everywhere, but that real and that true and that authentic self-care is about doing what actually nourishes and nurtures you. Self-care is not a one-size-fits-all situation. And so what's working for me, even though I shared a lot, might not be good for you, or what that influencer is telling you is the ultimate way is not for everyone. And that's totally fine. If you have zero motivation, start small, start tiny. Taking one little step in the right direction is still moving the needle forward, right? And then the most important takeaway, you my dear friend, are worthy. You are worthy of care right here, right now, exactly as you are. And this is where we're going to close things out. So if this episode resonated with you, let's keep this conversation going. You can DM me on Instagram at Andryanna G. You could tag me in your self-care wins or the fails. I mean, I love those too. And from the fails, we learn and we can move forward in a better and brighter way. And if you found this episode helpful, can you share it with a friend, someone who might be in the weeds, someone who might need these reminders and a simple path to move forward? And of course, if you haven't already, can you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future episodes? We've got so many good ones coming up. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope that this filled your cup a little bit, and I hope that this gave you an idea or an assurance or just a little cozy hug, Until the next time, please take care of you. You are worth it. Take good care.